we can work this out. Bear with us 1 second.
There we go. All right. So, as I mentioned on Instagram, I am interested in hearing about other people's projects and what they're sewing or making, crafting online, because I myself, I really, really wanted a place where I could get together with like-minded people and make things and sew things and craft things. But I couldn't find anywhere to do that here in Chicago. And I'm sure that there are niche groups around. And in fact, since I moved here, it took a little while, but I did find at least one other friend who sews. So I'm not completely alone in wanting this, but I haven't found enough people or enough interest right here where I live to actually create a group that meets regularly. So, just the other day, I was sewing because I've got a deadline. And I thought to myself, it would be amazing if a lot of people came together online instead, since we couldn't do it in person. So here we are. And I am so glad that some of you have joined me. I see that there are 13 watching right now. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I want to do with this, how often we're going to meet. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what my project is. And then I'm going to take some questions from you guys too. And I want to hear about your projects as well. So hopefully we'll have a lot of time and room to do that today. I'm hoping that we're going to go for maybe about a half an hour. But if we go a little bit longer than that, that's okay. If it's a little bit shorter than that, that's okay too. This is kind of our first meeting, right? So it's absolutely fine. I'm just really glad that you're all here. So let me tell you a little bit about my project. If you've been following me on Instagram or on some other social media channels, or you read my blog, then you know that I am in the throes of preparing for Renaissance Festival. I'm going to the Maryland Renaissance Festival with some friends. And before I tell you a little more about that, I do want to remind you that you are free to start chatting in the chat box whenever you like, with whoever you like. Just make sure that you're really nice to each other and you keep it civil, because we have Lawrence at the helm tonight. Lawrence, do you want to say hello to everyone?
Hello, everyone. I'm a little shy, so I don't come on camera. I don't do that kind of thing.
As you probably know, so at least some of you definitely know, Lawrence is, of course, the host of Lost in the Pond, and he and I together host a show on YouTube called Halfway Planet. He's going to be being kind of like the administrator for this wonderful live stream, and he'll be sending you some links as the show progresses and as we talk and as we have our little meeting. So be nice to each other. That's all. So what I am working on is a camisa or a camisia or a camicia, or really just a chemise is what I've always known it to be. And what it is it's an undergarment. It's an undergarment that I feel like I'm really working off of extant pieces from the 16th century. And I'm at the stage where I am starting to close up some of my seams, but I haven't hemmed anything yet. And in fact, this is all just kind of roughly hand sewn together. So we have some giant sleeves that have yet to be really completely finished. That's one. And then here's the other one. Woo. And at some stage they will be hemmed, but you can see like they're way longer than my actual arm because I want them to puff out. And if you go to my blog, actually, you'll see some really good examples of that, because I compiled a whole bunch of pictures of camisas. And yeah, I mean, like, they're just beautiful eye candy for you to take advantage of. So please, if you have any idea, or if you're not quite sure what it is that I'm talking about, there is a visual aid, or in fact, a lot of them. But it's just the white undergarment that I'm working on tonight. And then at some stage, and those of you who are followers of Instagram of mine already know this, but at some stage this will be washed, and then I will start making the dress that goes over the camisia. And I'm working from this pattern, and it's a Reconstructing History pattern. And yeah, it's, as you can see, it's a dress, and it's basically just a basic peasant work dress. Again, from about the 16th century, could be a little bit earlier than that, could be a little bit later, but it's Italian, which is why I keep saying camicia, even though I prefer the word chemise for this, the undergarment, that is. So that's this. And if you are an Instagram follower, then of course for weeks now, I've been starting on this project. And in fact, you helped me choose this color. So thank you for that, Instagram followers. I appreciate that. Let's just hope that when it washes, it still looks just as green, because I'm not convinced since it's only printed on one side. We'll see. Yeah, let's see here. So you know what my own project is now. I want to know about yours. So make sure that you tell me in maybe the comments box. You can also follow me on various social medias. Lawrence will go ahead and send you those links at some stage in our meeting. And yeah, the other thing that you'll also want to check back with regularly is my Pinterest account. I am forever and always adding random stuff that I find on the internet on Pinterest. And you can certainly become a follower of the Pinterest account too. And then you'll see all of my historic research progress as I'm going through this, because there are some really good, very fascinating things online that, of course, y'all should take advantage of, right? Especially if you're going to be sewing along with me. And then the last thing that I want to do and talk about with you before I actually start sewing myself and fielding your questions is I want to tell you a little bit about my Patreon page. And before you like go away and are like, oh my God, this is basically just an ad. It's not, I promise. Some of you are already patrons. I get that. So I will not waste your time too much with it. But I just wanted to let you know that right now on my Patreon page, I have a special. Once upon a time, I was a burlesque dancer a really long time ago. And so I have a really wonderful set of, boudoir photography. I may even take a little bit more too. I don't know. We'll see. What do you think, Lawrence?
Sure. But I'm biased, I think.
So I've done some pinup stuff in the past, and I would really like to send you a photo. So if you want to become a $5 or more a month patron before September 10th, then you can do that. And I will send you a signed photo of myself, pinup wise. And it might be like old Hollywood, it might be boudoir, it might just be like a pretty photo of me. I haven't actually decided what I'm going to do. And if enough of you sign up, I may even have a poll and let you decide which photo you want. So there is that. Yeah. So now that I've told you what I want to do with this, what's going to become a weekly sewing circle, tell me about all of your projects. Tell me what you're working on, and I'm going to sew, and I'm going to take any questions that you have. I'm going to share your projects with everybody. And that's really just what I want to spend the next few minutes doing. Does that sound good to you guys? I hope it does. All right, so let's see. What have we got here?
Yeah, so in the meantime, we've got a lot of call outs from different states in the US.
Oh, yeah.
I'm recognizing some of your names, by the way, from my own channel. So that's really comforting.
Yay. Welcome, everyone.
Yeah.
You must have already seen some Halfway Planet episodes, I hope at least. And if not, you can go back. I think I actually have the Halfway Planet links on my own channel. In fact, I believe I shared those. So Lawrence, you're welcome. And that is that. So yeah.
Absolutely.
So do we have any projects that are working on hand sewing as well? I'm curious to know.
Robert Leonard's working on his cocktail.
Okay. All right. That's something that you can work on, I suppose. What else have we got going on here? I know that one of my Instagram followers, Andrea, has been working on some knitting. So Andrea, what are you knitting this evening? And did you get the kids to bed on time? That's probably the crucial thing, right?
We did with ours. The cat, we had to throw him in the bedroom because he likes cotton, believe it or not.
Do you all want to see how I'm doing my hand sewing at all? Here's the thing. So my undergraduate degree is in theater arts, and I did a lot of design work in college. So I did a little bit of construction, costuming stuff, but only just a little bit. And I did not learn to sew until, with the exception of like home ec, I was in college. And I, always took on really ambitious projects. And in fact, I remember one of my professors one time swearing up and down that I would not get this corset done. And I got it done, and she went, "I'll be damned," on the day that I was supposed to present it. So yeah, I have a history of being a novice sewer. So please don't be intimidated when you share your projects.
It sounds like your teacher also had a southern drawl. Somebody pointed out a moment ago that you said "y'all" as if you were from South Carolina.
Oh, well, I did live in North Carolina for a year. A lot of my extended family is from West Virginia, and my grandmother on my mother's side is also, I believe, originally from Kentucky. So even though I'm from Indiana, I do have a little bit of that drawl in me when I feel the need.
So April said, "Yay, I hoped you might start a channel just like this."
Oh, good.
So there we go.
Yay. Thank you, April. I'm really excited to get started. This is just really exciting. Yeah, I've been like floating on air all day waiting to chat with you guys. So yay.
We have a comment coming from Renn, who says, "I've never sewn anything up other than holes in clothes, but I wouldn't mind learning."
Oh, great.
Renn, you've done more than me on the sewing front.
That is certainly true. I feel like when I'm sewing, most of my work is patching Lawrence's socks.
What is that?
So anyone come in, like, it's just on my side. And to be fair, that could be my computer, because my computer is almost 10 years old, guys. So that's one of the reasons why I set up a Patreon account, because if I want to keep live streaming, I actually need money to get some new equipment, which is really sad.
Your computer is the same age as our cat.
I know. In fact, I feel like I got it like just before we moved into that apartment, didn't I? So yeah, makes sense.
Renee also says that my art is in the kitchen. I love cooking and I'm attending school to be a pastry chef.
That is really cool. I love that. I love baking. I am not great at it. I am certainly not schooled at it like you are, Renee. But I am a decent home cook. And so I do occasionally post some recipes on my website as well. Hopefully you guys will check that out at some stage. Lawrence is certainly going to share it with you if he hasn't done already. But oldfashionedaf.com. And I have been told by a number of sources that my sausage rolls are out of this world. And by a number of sources, I mean Lawrence.
Mostly me.
So yeah.
That's fine.
And the thing is, necessity is indeed the mother of invention, isn't it? So when we first moved back to the US from the UK, British food was just kind of nowhere to be seen. And so because of that, we kind of had to just make do with what we had. And what we had was my minute ability to bake things. And so I just practiced a lot, and over the years, I've become more and more of like a housewiferly type. Something is happening with my thread. I don't know what that, it's just a string. Okay, there we are. But yes, I became more and more of a housewiferly type. And so I just bake a lot. And I realized that I can actually come up with a few recipes. So yeah, what I would really love is if, Renee, you also shared anything that you've got online too. And I would love to try your recipes. That would be great.
A few comments have come in, some of them hilarious. Emily thinks that the cat should have his own channel.
I actually have considered on more than one occasion creating an Instagram account for him, because he's just the funniest thing ever.
Thanks for running that by me.
While we were setting up, so I should probably show you this. It's just absurd, actually. But I've got a mound of fabric here that makes up this kamecha. So let me just put this in a safe location here. out of the way. And you can see that this is like, no exaggeration, it's probably 3 times the size of me in terms of width.
It's huge.
And so it was all kind of piled up on the table out of the way so that we could get things going here, and set up, because we, live in the smallest apartment ever. And the cat basically just bunched himself right inside it and stayed there for a while. In fact, I think, was that the picture that we posted on Instagram earlier?
Yeah, I think we definitely took one of that situation.
Yeah.
For evidence more than anything.
So
we do have a couple of questions, and some of them pertaining to sewing machines.
Oh, okay.
Firstly, from Peg Y. Peg says, do you use a sewing machine? Peg says that she just bought one. Haven't used one since home ec in high school decades ago.
Well, I can almost bet you that your sewing machine in home ec probably was better than the one that you bought, if it was brand new at least, because they do not make sewing machines as well nowadays, mostly, depending on what kind of sewing machine that you bought recently, than they used to, really. I have a Singer. It's not bad, and I do use it occasionally. And in fact, as we continue these, I am probably going to be using a sewing machine going down the line, because going down the line.
Oh, you're so good.
I know, right? These just come out of me. I don't know. But yeah, so I am going to be using a sewing machine, because there is no way that I'm going to be able to get all of this done before my deadline, which is August 29th, if I don't use a sewing machine. So you may very well see me pull my sewing machine out. So I am interested, though. What kind of sewing machine did you buy, Peg? Because I've got my eye and my heart set on a Bernina at some point, but they're so expensive. So I'm just going to have to wait on that one.
And then we had a question. This is quite a specific question. How do you construct a puffed sleeve? I don't know what that means.
Puffed sleeve. Okay. So I've never been great with sleeves. But the construction of a puffed sleeve, honestly, you need a very specific pattern for that. So if I were you, I would literally go and buy a pattern that has the puffed sleeve that you want, and then construct it from that. Now, of course, when I think of a puffed sleeve, what I'm thinking of is like something like what I'm wearing, or even bigger than that. And again, like it requires a specific amount of fabric. It also requires a specific amount of pleating, generally speaking. But if you're just talking about something that's a little less intricate, then you could actually get away with gathering it as well. So maybe you don't actually need a pattern. It just depends on your level of sewing expertise. I would not be able to do it without a pattern. So there's that.
Looks like we do have a few sewing machine fans in the house. Maggie Londoner says, I just bought a sewing machine for the same reason. I can't get everything done sewing by hand.
Yeah, I know, right? It's so sad. I much prefer sewing by hand. And I feel like I'm actually better at it, even though I'm so not good at that. But that's okay.
You're full of puns tonight.
I know.
That's usually my job.
I know. I love it. It's so good. I like the puns.
Peg said that she's just bought a Singer, cheap for now, to see if I like working with it. Adam Savage recommended it, recommended a Janome one, but it was out of my budget for now.
I don't think I've ever heard of that company.
Instagram.
You're gonna have to share it with me. Okay, do you know what the bulk of my day is? The bulk of my day is either sending or receiving cat memes from Lawrence or to Lawrence. So don't worry, we'll both follow you.
Absolutely.
It's as simple as that.
So we have 9 minutes.
Ooh, 9 minutes.
It's flying by.
It is. It really is. So yeah, we can't really show you this because it'll probably go crazy again, right? What do you think?
Maybe not. We could try it.
You want to try it again?
Yeah.
I mean, because this still has not actually come back together for me. So I'm pretty sure that my computer is just gone.
Okay. Oh, apparently we did freeze temporarily. This was according to Renee, but we are back now.
Oh, okay.
Do we want to? I'll try it very delicately.
Yes, and I'm actually just gonna go make this go since you're telling me who's saying what anyway. So, maybe it'll run a little faster. All right, so
don't be alarmed. I'm moving the camera.
And are we still good? Are we still live?
We're still good. I don't know how much
can
they
you
can
see it?
I have to hold it up a little bit.
Okay, I don't know how I can actually show you what I'm doing here. But what we've got is we've got basically just a running stitch that I started on. And that's how I put the seams together. And I actually, because this isn't actually a pattern, I'm not working from any specific pattern, and we just have a whole lot of fabric, I didn't care about the measurements. And I just wanted it to be as big as possible. So I actually just ran it together unevenly already instead of cutting the edges. I hope you guys can see that okay. But you can see like there's that flap, and it was already like that when I sewed it together instead of cutting it later. And now I am finishing it with basically a felled seam. So I am just scooping up a teeny tiny bit of the fabric, if I can do it without catching the fabric underneath. It's so hard from this angle. I'm so sorry, guys. But yes, I'm just catching a tiny bit of that fabric. And then after I catch that, generally I'll just go directly in to the hem, but I can't do that from this angle. So instead, I'll show you that now. So then you go into the hem after you've folded it over. And you catch a little more to keep it sturdy. And then you just continue going like so. So you'll catch a teeny tiny bit of that thread.
Like so.
Like so. Haha. And then you will catch a little more of the hem itself. See? And then when it's done, it should look something like this. Although, again, please mind my stitch work. It's not the most beautiful in the world, but I'm trying to do this quickly. So you've got the running stitch right there, and then you've got the felled seam on the other side. Make sense? I hope so. If not, give me questions. I'm happy to answer any of the questions that you have about it. But I do like finishing my work with a felled hem because I don't have a serger, or at least I don't have a serger that works. I have a serger that my grandmother gave me, but it does not work, and I need to take it to a sewing machine specialist so that it can get a tune-up, and then I'll be able to use that again.
Brilliant. Oh, somebody said we're still frozen. Oh, but then Peg countered and said we're not frozen. So it looks like it froze for some and not for others.
I see. Will you guys tell me whether or not you saw, heard the things that happened with the sewing, just for feedback later? Because we might, the thing is, we're hoping that even if it's not as good of a camera, that we can use 2 different cameras when we do this, so that you can actually see some of the stitch work that I'm doing moving forward. It's very tricky right now because we have such a small space and we only have one camera, the one that I'm talking to you on, that is actually mobile and able to go live. So we're going to have to try and figure that out. But if it's worth it, then we will certainly try.
Real quickly, a question did come to my attention here. This is from April, who says, Tara, do you know of any good resources for people who want to learn to sew?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the best place, and it really just depends on where you live, but to my mind, you really just can't get anything better than the personal touch. And so I would suggest either going to someone who actually teaches sewing, which when I lived in Indianapolis, I actually did take lessons from a woman who I had met through some of the like seamstress and costuming circles. But honestly, depending on where you live, you can probably even just do a Google search and someone will be, selling sewing lessons somewhere. But the better place to go if you can't afford that is you can just go to sites like Reconstructing History and look at their blogs, and then just like start from scratch, start from the very beginning. And in fact, I think did you already give them the link to that My First Garb thing?
I can do that if I didn't.
This won't show you the stitch work that's involved, but it will at least show you how to cut, the garment that I am actually working on right now. And then you literally just look up those seams. The unfortunate thing about sewing is that it's really kind of unfashionable in terms of something that people learn in school anymore. And so I honestly just cobble together sources for myself. But what I can do right now, in fact, if I haven't done it already, is I can show you. I have a really good period resource on my Pinterest that explains all of the different sewing techniques that I'm doing on these garments. I wish that I remembered the name of it, but I tell you what, I will make sure that it's in the description of this video so that you can look at it afterward, because I don't think that I put it in the show notes for this. So I will make sure that I go back and I find it for you, but also, just peruse around Pinterest as well, and I'm certain that you'll be able to find it.
Yeah, and adding to that, Maggie Londoner said that they read some library books so that they understood the basics and then started going to a class.
Lawrence, if you want to run inside the other room, there is a book that I highly recommend for just basic construction work if you're interested in period costuming specifically, or just costuming in general. And it is, I think, costume construction. It might be by the bed. I want to say it's by the bed right now because I was reading it before I went to bed one night. But it's like really great for basically teaching you anything about how to get started. The other, and this is really, thank you, the Costume Technician's Handbook. That's the name of it. There we are. So this is like my Bible. I look at it all the time to try and find out, what it is that I need to do if I'm like stuck somewhere. And it does give you some basics on, like, for example, how to make a zipper, all kinds of different fun stuff. But underrated and yet very useful is just looking at your sewing manual from your machine. If you look on your sewing machine, generally speaking, the cat is yes, messing with things. Generally speaking, the manual for your sewing machine will get you set up. It will literally tell you exactly what to set up, how to set it up, and then how to get started. And it will usually give you not just the basic stitches, but how to use the basic stitches on your sewing machine as well. So that is a really good source to get started with. Do we have any more questions? Because I think I'm probably going to wrap it up here in just a moment.
Let's see. We had a lot of comments about the cat and about freezing and things like that. Now the cat's come out. And
I can't wait to read all of your comments after this.
He's about to jump up on the table, isn't he?
Yes, he is. It might be a really good way to stop this.
We can go back. We can go back after the video, right, to the questions that are in the live chat and possibly respond offline.
I'm not sure if I can respond offline, but I will definitely read all of them. So don't worry, guys. Even though I didn't see them in real time, I'll go back and look at them. And you can always follow me on socials. I like to have discussions on social media. So please, by all means, message me either on Instagram or on Facebook or wherever it is that you do your social media stuff. And I will be happy to have a conversation with you about any topic sewing wise or, crafting wise that you might like to have. And just don't forget about the Patreon deal. I would very much like to send each and every one of you a picture. And tell your friends to join next time. So I'm going to meet again, I think, next week. And I hope that you'll all join me Wednesday from 8 to 8:30-ish. And here's the cat, as we suspected he would be. I think, honestly, that's it. So all of you have a lovely night. It was beautiful to meet with all of you, and I cannot wait to do it again next week. And in the meantime, I will see you on my social media accounts. Bye now.